Hey guys, let's have a talk. Now, this talk is going to be about why unconditional love is the key to your healing, to creating your dream life, to being authentic, to everything. And it has to do with the law of one. Because let's just start here. The truth of who we are is actually very fucking simple. Because the truth is always simple. Thinking that everything is so complex and so hard to understand and so impossible to get, that's the lie. Because lies always have to be cunning, always have to be clever, always have to be kind of convoluted and hard to understand so that you can't see that it's a lie very easily. Until you realize that the more complex someone's truth about reality is, the more they really don't fucking know. They don't. Because the truth is simple. And the truth is, of course, that there's only one thing in existence, one infinite, eternal source of awareness, of intelligence, of creative design. And this one thing that exists, the only thing that exists, is everything and everyone. It's not separate. Nothing can be separate. It's the only thing that exists, so nothing can be separate from it. When you understand this, you understand that all form comes from a singular energy field of formless energy. So all form is technically one, even though it doesn't look like it, even though the mind doesn't perceive that. That's what it is. It's what quantum physics has proven. And in truth, all sentience, all awareness of being, all awareness of knowing I am, I exist, that's all the same awareness. It's all the same consciousness. There is only one self. There is only one consciousness. It is just being fractalized into many different expressions for unique experiences. The complexity of things, the variety of things, is what makes life fun and interesting. Because if we didn't have all this complexity and variety, it would be boring. But the truth is very simple. We're all one. And this is why the law of one is actually the only law any of it that really even exists. That one infinite source, God, is the law of one. And what that is implying is that every single one you see, everything in existence, every being, every form, every individualized unit of consciousness, they're all one with you. They all have free will just like you. The free will to create and experience whatever they want. Whatever they want. It's their free will. It's their right to choose. And so the law of one is about how do you stay in alignment with who you really are. The law of one is also known as the law of do no harm, the law of love, and the way Jesus described the law of one, for example, is love God above all else with all your heart. Confirmation stomach gurgle, if you heard that. That was powerful. and love your neighbor as yourself. Understanding that God, neighbor, self, it's all one. That's the law of one. Respect and love all other beings as yourself. Really, it's the law of unconditional love. Because unconditional love accepts that there are beings out there who do not know who they are, because that's the game in this universe that we're playing at the moment, is that some beings know who they are, and they are unconditionally loving. And then some beings still don't know who they are, because we're going through an evolution of consciousness. And those who don't know who they are the ones who are doing all this stupid shit. All this stuff that's not love is done by the people who don't know who they are. But we have to understand this. We have to respect this, that they have their own journey and their own evolution of this experience we're having in this universe. And just because they have not gotten to the point that you're at does not mean you are superior to them. And in fact, our judgment of them, our misperception of them, our judgment of them, feeds their behavior, because it's all energy. If I look out over at that person who's doing something not loving, and I say, oh, I hate them, they're a bad person, what am I doing with my energy? I am sending my negative energy to them. And I am actually perpetuating the very energy within them that is making them do all these things. That makes them think this is what reality is. That makes them think that being the judgmental, hateful, abusive, whatever, manipulative person that they are, whatever they're doing, whatever they think they should be doing, is coming from internal judgment of themselves and of others, but mostly of themselves. And so the hate that they have for themselves gets projected out. That's why they're doing what they're doing, because they don't feel loved. They don't understand reality. They're projecting their own pain onto others in whatever way makes sense to them based on their experience and their programming in this lifetime. And so they already have all this hate and judgment within them. They already have all this negative energy within them. And so when we send them hate and judgment, we are only adding to the hate and the judgment. Hate begets hate, anger begets anger, judgment begets judgment. The energy you put out is what you get back. And if they agree with it and you send them that energy, they're receiving it. So we are only perpetuating more of their bullshit by us being irresponsible co-creators, by judging them, by not understanding them, by not trying to have compassion for them. And even if you can't get to compassion with them, you know, like if they're a sex trafficker or a pedophile or whatever, like I get it. It's hard to have compassion and love for them when they're doing those things. At least get to a neutral place and realize that person has no fucking clue who they are. Me sending judgment and hate to them is only going to make them hate and judge themselves more, which is only going to make them do more and more terrible things that we don't want to see happen anymore in our world. And so having that judgment and that hatred, it actually comes from a fear within us. All judgment comes from fear. And what is that fear? The fear is, I don't ever want to be like them. And if I actually try to sympathize with them or have compassion or try to understand them, there is a fear that will come to the realization that, oh my God, that potential is in me too. Oh, this dog is really annoying right now. You know what? I'm going to accept her free will to bark at whatever the fuck she's barking at right now. And she stopped. Okay. Where was I? God damn it. It's okay. Hang on. So, my point here is that unconditional love is what's going to liberate and free you. Our judgment, our misperceptions of others or of ourselves, because unconditional love does not disclude you. The highest good does not disclude you. Our misperceptions, our judgments, are actually what make us sick. They're actually what destroy us, deteriorate us over time. The more we hold on to that, and I see it in my own family. I see people who are older, in a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort. Their quality of life is not good. And they think, oh, this is just getting old. This is just what it is. I'm like, but then how do you explain that there are older people who are older than you who are in great shape still? You know, a few years ago, I saw this dude who was like in his 90s playing basketball all the time. I'm like, how is that possible? Is it just genetics? Is it just luck? No, I can guarantee you, and the people who I know in my own life who have all this pain and poor quality of life who are older, they have so many judgments about themselves, about the world, about others. That's all they focus on. Maybe not all, but a lot of what they focus on. As where, you know, I'm sure if we talked to that 95-year-old who was playing basketball and you asked him about his perspective of life and of himself, it would probably be very loving. I could almost guarantee it is. We deteriorate the further we get from the law. The further we get from the law of one, the law of love, we suffer and deteriorate. The more in alignment we are, and the more expansive and loving our beliefs are, the better the quality of our life. And the less we will deteriorate. In fact, I truly believe that God created the perfect spiritual body. That it's not a victim to anything in its physical environment. It's only a victim to itself as long as we believe we are. So I used to believe I was a victim to genetics. I no longer hold that belief. I used to believe I was a victim to, just things not working out for me. That the things I wanted most couldn't happen for me and stuff like that. I no longer hold those beliefs. I now believe anything's possible. I now believe I'm capable of anything that my heart's truly excited about. Otherwise, my heart wouldn't be excited about it. And so I want to also talk about the Ra material, which is a channeled work from the 1980s, also known as the Law of One. And Ra, this channeled entity, calls themselves the humble messengers of the Law of One. And they talk about this evolution of consciousness that we're on, that we're experiencing in this universe. And they talk about how each of us is like a quantum particle in the universe. So we know atoms, quantum particles, in order for them to do work, which means in order for them to make change in their environment, they have to have a charge, negative or positive. In the same way, we are quantum particles. And for us to do work and make change, make an impact in our environment, we have to choose a polarity, choose a charge, and polarize to it, negative or positive. Now, the way things are set up, because duality ultimately is an illusion, right? Oneness is the truth. Non-duality is the truth. But in this universe, we have an ego, mind, subconscious identity. And it has the capability of perceiving duality. And so we have to make the authentic choice that feels right to us and polarize to it if we want to make a tremendous impact, if we want to become our authentic selves, if we want to attract our dream life, what is meant for us, and thus be able to help and serve others in the highest capacity possible, in the most loving way possible. We have to choose our polarity. Now, very few beings, according to the law of one, to the raw material, choose the negative polarity authentically. I think it's like 10% or less. As where 90% or more choose the positive polarity. And the way that reality is set up, understand that our source, our creator, who we really are in eternity, the truth of who we really are, is pure, perfect, divine, unconditional love. That is what it is. That is who we are. And so one of the polarities, the positive polarity, is the embodiment of all that the creator is. Love and expansion, evolution, creation. The negative polarity is everything that the creator is not. Essentially, it's the lies, the illusions, the half-truths. They're only true as long as you believe in them and want to experience them, consciously or unconsciously. But they're not the eternal truth, and they do not have to affect you. You are a free being in the universe with free will. And the more you polarize positively, the more you actually repel the negative polarity. It's not just that you attract good things, it's that you repel things that no longer align with you. So polarizing positively is actually a very safe thing to do, because you're not going to just attract something that's not meant for you. And some people will listen to this and they'll be like, oh, well, Jesus was positively polarized. You know, he was super loving and he was crucified. I'm like, yeah, but he didn't view being crucified as not part of the plan. All right. He knew that it was coming. And he accepted it. He knew that that was his role to play. That's what he came here to be. He came here to be that martyr for love. That was always part of the plan. So, of course, he accepted that. And he showed how you can stay loving and forgiving even while you're being fucking tortured and murdered. That's an impressive fucking life right there. That's why Jesus has made such an impact on this world. Because he did something that powerful. He showed the power of positive polarity is what he did. He didn't just attract something that wasn't meant for him. And I'm not saying that if you polarize positively, that you're going to be murdered. I'm not saying you won't, but but what's meant for you in this life, when you are positively polarized, that's all that can happen. That's all that will happen, is what's meant for you. And if you don't want to be a martyr, you don't have to be. It's not who you are. You know? It's a different time. We're living in different times now. All right? He lived in a very violent and fucked up time. All right? Not that this time isn't fucked up in some ways, but it's more messed up in our judgment and our perception than it is. Like, most people are pretty peaceful, right? I think we can all agree about that most people are pretty peaceful. All people are pretty wounded still, right? But that gets projected usually verbally, emotionally, less physically than it used to. Still sometimes, yes, but not as much as it used to, right? We can all see this for the most part. Obviously, that'll be harder for someone who's been through the physical abuse, and I am not trying to deny that. Of course that happens, and of course it's wrong. But point being, we live in a different world now. Now I have the freedom to express these things, and I'm not afraid of walking out of my house and being stoned. I'm not afraid of being killed. I'm not afraid of disease. I'm not afraid of anything because I continue to polarize positively. I continue to polarize more and more towards unconditional love of myself, of others, of the world, of reality itself. I've been working on this for 2 years. I can tell you that it changes you. It changes you. If you saw me several years ago, it'd be hard to believe I'm where I'm at today. And I attribute pretty much all of it to positive polarization. And so the more that we align with our true nature, with the law of one, with unconditional love, the more we choose loving and expansive beliefs, the more that we identify negative and fear-based or limiting beliefs and we change them, we polarize more and more positively. And this is how we actually heal. Because as we heal our perception of ourselves, our perception of reality itself, of the world, of others, as we heal our perception and come more into alignment with the simple truth that we're all one and we're all free and we're all free to experience what we choose to experience, what aligns with our hearts, with our truth, the more that we do that, we heal our perception. That is what heals our energy field. And as our energy field heals, the physical body heals. All of it goes together. But you can't really heal the other way. It just, you can, start taking better care of your physical body. Yeah, you can go get some energy work done. But if you don't heal the perception, all of the imbalances that you had, and just your ability to stay disciplined, for example, will be very, very difficult. The reason people can't stay disciplined with diet and exercise or just healthy behaviors and stuff like that, the reason they're coping on everything is because of their misperceptions. The more you align with loving, correct perceptions for yourself, and only you can know what's loving and correct for you because everybody's got a different makeup, but at the end of the day, it's all going to be unconditional love about yourself and others. It is. It's going to be acceptance as you are, loving yourself as you are, realizing that who you really are would never want to harm another, ever. So any thought or any action you would ever take to harm another, that's not who you are. That's the egoic beliefs. That's the negative polarity that has been programmed in you that has to be deprogrammed. And by doing this, though, we align with who we really are. If you want to make a great impact on this life, if you want to experience a beautiful life the rest of your incarnation here, however long that ends up being, you have to change the way you see things. Because the only reason you're not experiencing that now is because of the way you see things. And for me, personally, I was always very forgiving and understanding with others. But the more I went through my life and the more I took on other people's beliefs about the world and stuff like that, the more I was actually really hard on myself. And I became so distorted in the way that I viewed myself that I created this nightmare scenario for me where I was trapped in my body. I was almost 400 pounds, dependent on pain meds, alcohol, in pain, chronic pain all the time, bedridden by spasms, had painful blisters and boils and just so much discomfort. I could barely walk. I could barely go 5 minutes without being in so much pain that I needed to go lie down. I couldn't work. I couldn't do fucking anything because of how distorted my view was of myself, how unloving I was to myself. And so my biggest battle has been just being loving to myself. Recognizing that every time those old thoughts come up that are putting me down, making me feel like I'm no good, making me feel like You know, I can never amount to anything. I can never do anything. I can never be anything that I want to be, that nothing's ever working out, that type of thing. That I'm a huge fucking burden. That was a big one. um, all of those beliefs, they destroyed me slowly over time. And so becoming unconditionally loving to myself and taking care of myself has become my number one priority the last couple of years, because that's what I had to heal. I had to heal my perception of myself so that I could be all that I was meant to. And in fact, when I was younger, you know, just who I am, the particular expression I am, the particular soul I am in this life, when I was younger, I was super loving all the time. That's all I wanted to do. I love Jesus. I love God. I love people. I love life. I love myself. I love everything. And as I got older, my perception of myself just got worse and worse and worse. And I saw how much pain everyone else was in, and I didn't understand. And I tried to understand, and I listened to their beliefs about why they were so unhappy, and I could see from their perspective, and I applied that to myself and took on all these things, and I just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse until I hated myself, and I hated life, and I didn't believe in God anymore, and nothing felt good anymore. It was just pain all the time, for years. Pain and misery and fucking suffering. And it was all my fucking fault. Unconsciously, like I didn't know. I didn't know any better. But, so I don't like blame myself or hold shame about it. Like, I'm grateful because at a certain point, I realized I created all of it, which means I can uncreate it. And when I learned about the law of one, and I realized it's all about positive polarization, identifying what you're not, changing it, and realigning with what you really are. And all of your healing will come from that. All of your healing will come from it. It's inevitable. It's inevitable that all of your healing will come from that. That changed my life. That saved my life. And that way I saved my life. I became the hero of my life by realizing, by humbling myself, knowing that I didn't fucking understand reality because I was so miserable, because nothing ever worked out for me, because I didn't understand myself or life at all. I humbled myself, and then truth found me. And I committed to it. And I've stayed committed to it. And it is healing me. And it's beautiful. And I'm so fucking grateful to be where I am now. And I'm so grateful for everything that I went through, because it taught me how powerful I am. And you are that too. You are that too. We all are. We are all the powerful creators of our own personal reality. But we have to take responsibility, accountability for ourselves, for where we're at, and for our perceptions and our misperceptions. And we must heal them. All of our judgments are fucking wrong. All of them. There's not one judgment you hold about yourself or others that is true. Not one. There is not one judgment that you can hold on to that is justified. They're all wrong. And they don't serve you or anyone else. And you may not understand why yet. You may not be able to see why yet. But I promise you, it doesn't serve you, and it never will. Our judgments are what destroy us. Our judgments are what deteriorate us. Our judgments are what kill us slowly. You want to know why people used to live 900 years? Not a lot of people, but like Moses, like actually righteous people in history lived hundreds of years. It's because we already have a perfect spiritual body. We deteriorate because of our misperceptions. In truth, I think, honestly, I'm not even joking. I think I'm going to be here for hundreds of years. I'm not even like that just seems like a normal thing to me now. I'm just saying. Some people might say that's delusional. I say I know what reality I live in, and it is the most loving, perfect reality. And I only wish everyone could see how beautiful it really is. And so that's why it's my mission to share these ideas, to share my perspective, to help people heal. Because you deserve a beautiful life. You are worthy of knowing how loved and cared for you are, how supported you are. Right now, that heaven really is a state of being, that hell is really a state of being. You don't have to justify your existence. You're already worthy of eternal life. You already are it. We just have to remember that. I love you unconditionally. If you want help healing your perception, links and stuff in the description. And I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for being here.